Hey everyone, and welcome. I'm Andrew, and today we are going to completely level up the way you talk about your professional journey with some essential business English. You know that feeling, right? You're sitting in an interview, they ask about your experience, and your mind just goes blank. It could be so nerve-wracking. But what if you had the perfect words to tell your story with real power and confidence? Well, that's exactly what we're about to do. We're going to master 10 key words that will help you talk about your career path, boost your confidence, and really just make an amazing impression. You ready? Let's dive in. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover getting your foot in the door. Then, we'll look at navigating all the twists and turns of a career. After that, we'll talk about getting paid. And finally, we'll have a quick test and figure out your next big step. Let's get to it.
First up, the very beginning of your journey. These are the words you'll want to have in your back pocket to talk about how you got your first real experience.
Our first word is internship. This is a classic way to start out. It's basically a short-term work experience, really perfect for just learning the ropes. You might say something like, she completed a summer internship at a top law firm. It's all about getting that first real taste of the professional world. Next up, we have placement. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds an awful lot like an internship, and you're right, it is. It's a job you do to get some real-world experience. For example, my university helped me find a work placement at a marketing firm. And that sentence right there holds the clue to the main difference. So, let's make this super clear. A placement is usually a formal and often required part of your university course. An internship, on the other hand, is something you often go out and find on your own, maybe over a summer break. So the big takeaway is, one is built into your studies and the other is usually separate. All right, now for a totally different way to get a job. To be headhunted. This is when a company actively comes looking for you for a pretty high-level role because you're an expert in your field. So for example, our company hired a specialist agency to headhunt a new chief technology officer. It's a huge compliment. And I just love this little bit of history behind the term. It actually started in the US way back in the 40s and 50s. These firms were looking for the best heads, smartest people. So they were literally nicknamed headhunters. It's not just some modern buzzword. It has a long history of finding the absolute top talent. Okay, so you've gotten your foot in the door. Now what? Well, this next part is all about navigating your career path. And that can mean moving up, moving on, or, well, sometimes parting ways. Let's look at the words for that. The word everybody loves to hear. Promotion. This is when you're given a job with more responsibility and, yep, usually a bigger paycheck. It's a formal way of recognizing all your hard work. I still remember my very first promotion. It was such a massive confidence boost. Okay, quick pro tip. If an interviewer asks you about a promotion, here's how you answer it perfectly in about 30 seconds. Step 1. State your new title, nice and clear. Step 2. Briefly explain what your new duties were. And step 3, share one key thing you accomplished in that new role. Simple, confident, and super impressive. Of course, sometimes you're the one who decides it's time to leave. When you submit your resignation, that means you're choosing to move on to a new challenge. And retirement, well, that's that wonderful phase when you stop working completely, usually after a long, successful career.
But let's be real, sometimes the decision to leave isn't yours. Now, this slide is so important because it clarifies two very different situations that people often mix up. To be sacked is informal, and it means it was the employee's fault they did something wrong. But being laid off is formal, and it happens for business reasons, like the company isn't doing well. The absolute key takeaway here is that a layoff is not the employee's fault. Understanding this difference is just vital.
All right, let's talk about money. Because how you get paid can really define your job, sometimes just as much as your title does.
Two really important terms here, commission and self-employed. Commission is super common in sales rules. Your pay is tied directly to how well you do. The more you sell, the more you make. Simple. And being self-employed means just that. You are your own boss. You work for yourself, setting your own hours, your own rates, like a freelance writer or a consultant. So which path is more your style? This little chart can actually help you think it through. If you really value a predictable, steady paycheck and you're not a big fan of risk, then a fixed salary is probably for you. But if you're motivated by seeing direct results, you love being independent, and you have a higher tolerance for risk, then hey, a commission-based job or being self-employed could be absolutely perfect.
Ooh, we have covered a lot of ground. So, now it's time to put all that new knowledge to the test. Let's see what you remember.
Okay, I want you to get ready.
No pressure, but let's see how many of these you can define before I do. Ready? Here we go.
Promotion, that's moving up. Internship, getting that first experience. Headhunt, when they come looking for you. Sack, you're fired for doing something wrong. Layoff, the job is eliminated for business reasons. Resignation, when you choose to leave. Retirement, you stop working for good. Commission, getting paid based on sales. Self-employed, you're the boss. And placement, work experience that's part of your studies. So, how did you do?
Now, just look at how we can start to put all these words together. This one sentence weaves a bunch of our new terms into a single story to describe a pretty complex career journey. This is exactly how you start to build a powerful and precise story about your own career. Fantastic work, everybody. You've officially mastered the words. The only thing left to do now is to actually start using them. So, I've got a challenge for you. What is your next big career goal? Are you aiming for a promotion? Or maybe you're dreaming of becoming self-employed. Use one of your new words and share that goal down in the comments. Let's get a great conversation going.
And hey, if you found this explainer from the English Effect helpful, do me a huge favor, give it a like, share it with a friend who's also working on their career, and definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next lesson. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.